Hello and welcome back to the second episode of The Last Lap. My name is Jimmy, and to my left of the screen is Matthew. We are back with episode 2 of The Last Lap, where today we are going to be breaking down a few more things from the Martinsville race from Sunday and also providing our picks for this Sunday. So if you guys thought our first episode was crazy with all this stuff going on in Martinsville, there was even more controversy after the race that came out on Monday. So we're going to talk to you guys about that today, along with our championship picks. The first thing we're going to be doing on this episode is going over our championship 4 picks for each of the 3 series, the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup series. So we're going to start with the Truck series first, and the 4 candidates for the Truck championship this week are Sheldon Creed, Grant Enfinger, Brett Moffitt, and Zane Smith. So Matthew's going to go ahead and provide his pick first, and then I'll go after him.
All right, so this is for the Gainer RV and Outdoors Truck Series that will be hosting on tomorrow night, and this one is definitely one of the harder ones to pick on who's going to be a champion in the Truck Series because of the competition. There's not a lot of competition, so it definitely makes it hard to decide which of these 4 are going to be a champion because of how small the competition is in that series. From what I've gathered throughout the whole season of the driver statistics, their wins, number of laps led, top 10, top 5s, it was tough. I narrowed it down to 2 drivers that definitely have the best shot, and that would be Sheldon Creed and Grant Enfinger because their stats are really similar, both with 4 wins, both with a lot of top 5s, top 10s, that definitely a lot of laps led than the others. And it definitely made it hard to decide which one would be on paper the champion. From what I've watched over the Truck Series over this season, my pick is going to be Sheldon Creed to win the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series championship because out of all those 4 drivers, I think Sheldon Creed has shown the most consistency of the 4, even though Grant Enfinger may have won last week. But I think Sheldon Creed has the speed. Those GMS trucks are real fast. And I just think Sheldon Creed is going to get it done this weekend and become a champion.
That's definitely a solid pick, and I narrowed it down to 2 as well. One of those being Sheldon Creed, and then the other actually being one of his teammates, Brett Moffitt. Brett Moffitt was one of my other picks because he's a defending champion. I think he's the only one that's been in the Final Four before, so he has that experience. And he's also won a truck race at Phoenix where none of the other 3 drivers have. But I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to say Sheldon Creed because, like you said, he has 4 wins this season, but also he's been one of the most consistent drivers, leading laps in a lot of races and always being up front, being a threat almost every weekend. So I'm going to pick Sheldon Creed as well. You can catch the truck race tomorrow at 8 o'clock on FS1 Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to tune in for that and see if we got our picks right. Now we're going to go on to the Xfinity series, and there's been basically 2 big headers in Xfinity, but the 4 people that will be there battling on Saturday night at 5 o'clock on NBCSN are Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier, Justin Haley, and Austin Cindric. So Matthew, you can go ahead and pick your pick for the championship for Xfinity.
This one is not really it's not really that competitive, to be honest, because I think everybody's picking Chase Briscoe to win the championship, and that's who I have to win the championship. I mean, there's no reason to say somebody else because 9 wins, so dominant throughout the whole year. I mean, every first race of the round he's won, so they always get that further away and then just focus on building momentum. And they did the same thing in the last round. So, I mean, Austin Cindric could be a threat too because he's been the second best Xfinity driver this year. But I still have Chase Briscoe win this championship. I think there's definitely something wrong if Chase Briscoe does not win this championship. Justin Allgaier, I mean, he's been good this year, but he's not been the level of Cindric and Chase Briscoe, so I don't see him. But he was the last winner of Phoenix last year, so it could happen. And as for Justin Haley, aka the most luckiest driver in NASCAR, even though he's got 3 wins, but arguably it could be all luck. But who knows? Maybe he'll luck his way. Maybe he'll have that luck for the championship race. Who knows? But don't. But I gotta say it's Briscoe.
Out of those 4, I'm actually not picking Chase Briscoe, even though he has the 9 wins. I am picking Justin Allgaier because of what you said about him being so good at Phoenix. He won the last race there, and he's always very good there. So I think it comes down to one race, and whoever finishes the best wins the championship. So I'm picking Justin Allgaier just because he's really good at Phoenix. That might not be
I
the best
cannot
pick,
believe what
but
I'm hearing.
I'm picking Justin
You're
Allgaier.
not
So
gonna pick the guy who's been dominating Xfinity all year long. Come
nope.
on, man.
As much as I like Chase Briscoe, I just think Justin Allgaier is going to do better at Phoenix. So that's why I pick him for the Xfinity Series championship.
Like I said, Chase Briscoe does not win this championship. There's seriously something wrong with this format.
So now we are on to the Cup Series Championship 4, which will take place on Sunday at 3 o'clock on NBC. The 4 candidates for that are Joey Logano, who won at Kansas to lock himself in, Chase Elliott, who locked himself in on Sunday at Martinsville, and then Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski both locked in on points. So, Matthew, go ahead and make your pick for the big race on Sunday.
Well, here we are, the biggest one of them all. The Cup Series Championship going to be at Phoenix on Sunday. This one is a little bit of a challenge because all 4 of these guys are really, really good at Phoenix, especially the past couple years. Denny Hamlin, he won here in the fall last year. Chase Elliott, he was good. He was good in this year's spring race, but ultimately had issues. Joey Logano, he won the Phoenix spring race this year. And Brad Keselowski, according to what I've seen, they're bringing that same car that he won Loudon Richmond with, which was pretty much the dominant car of both those races. This was definitely a tough decision. This was definitely tough thinking here because, like I said, they're good at it. All 4 of these drivers are good at this track. And it's basically anybody's game here because it's all about execution. It's all about not making mistakes. It's not all about, getting penalties, getting caught up in wrecks, loose wheels, etc. What I go for here, what I think is 2020 Cup Series Championship, I think it's going to be Brad Keselowski. And here's my reason why. Like I said, they're bringing that same car that he raced at Loudon and Richmond in the playoffs. Both times, he was the most dominant car with that same car and won the race. And knowing that car, I just think Brad Keselowski is going to have a lot of speed. I think it's going to be the dominant car that race. Well, actually, it could be back and forth between Brad Keselowski and Denny Hamlin. I see those 2 being the 2 front runners in this, but I think Brad Keselowski is going to win this championship.
That definitely caught me off guard. I was not expecting you to pick Brad, but you obviously have good reasons behind it with that car he's going to bring to Phoenix. So that's definitely a solid pick. My pick is going to be Chase Elliott. I am a Chase Elliott fan.
Oh, gosh.
I am picking him to win this championship. It's a little bit of bias, but I have some good facts to back it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So as you said, Chase led a bunch of laps in the spring race. He had an issue which took him out for the chance to win, but he was really good here in the spring. He's coming off that win at Martinsville. He basically had his back up against the wall and had to overcome 2 pit penalties to come back and win that race. So he definitely has the resiliency and the tendency to come back and win even when his back's up against the wall. He's led the second most laps this season behind Kevin Harvick, who isn't in the championship 4. And I think he's got a legitimate chance to win this championship. It might be his first time in this championship 4, but I think he's ready for this moment. He's arguably NASCAR's biggest rising superstar, and winning 4 races this year and getting to the championship 4 in the way he did. I think he's ready for this moment. I think he's going to take it.
Hate to break it to you, it's not road course, so I don't see this happening.
He won at Martinsville. What do you mean? And he won at Charlotte, the race after the Coke 600. He can win on ovals. I don't know what you're talking about. 3 of his 5 wins this year are at ovals. The All-Star race doesn't count, but it's still an oval. He can win on ovals. We will see if either of us are right or wrong. Denny Hamlin definitely has a chance, and so does Joey Logano since he won there in the spring. But let us know who your pick is. So
it's mostly going to be all about who's not going to, make the least. Who's not going to make mistakes. Who's going to make the least amount of mistakes or no mistakes. So it's anybody's game there.
I couldn't agree more. The next topic we're going to be talking about is a controversy that happened on Sunday in the Cup race at Martinsville. So Joe Gibbs Racing was under investigation on Monday after the race because Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin were racing with each other on the track. Their teammates.
It was Eric Jones behind Denny Hamlin, and he was given team communications of, don't pass the 11 and all that.
Yeah, so Denny Hamlin was 1 point above the cut line, and Eric Jones' teammate was behind him. And if Eric Jones passed him, then Hamlin might not have made the championship 4. And there was a bunch of radio communications going on with Eric Jones basically telling him not to pass Denny Hamlin. So the rule that they might have broken is a rule that states that each competitor must race 100% on the racetrack. And if they fail to do so, then there could be a penalty. The incident that created this rule was in 2013 at Richmond when Clinton Boyer spun out on purpose and Brian Vickers pitted under green for no reason, basically giving, who was it, Truex? Who was the car that needed the points? Was it Truex?
Martin Truex Jr. It was between him, Ryan Newman, I think, and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, so Martin Truex Jr. got those points from Boyer spinning out and from Brian Vickers pitting, and they basically threw a penalty down for that, and that's where this rule came from. So I'm going to go ahead and let Matthew tell his thoughts and ask him if JGR did or did not deserve a penalty based on what happened on Sunday.
Well, it doesn't make sense. This seems really inconsistent why they didn't penalize him, because they penalized the 55 mainly on that 2013 fiasco when he was forced to pit. Let me put on my NASCAR official sunglasses here and look up look up the rule for this that they were talking about this incident. According to NASCAR rulebook here, you're supposed to give it all you got, 100% at all times. If you don't give it all and try to manipulate the finish, you will be penalized. So from reading that, Eric Jones should have been penalized by this, according to that rulebook right there. And Brian Vickers was penalized for this. Another recent incident like this was on 2019 at Homestead. This was between 2 backmarker teams, Premium Motorsports and Rick Ware Racing. Apparently, they got penalized for altering the finish to get one of those 2 teams in like the top 30-something in points, top 35 in points. NASCAR found the radio communications for that. They penalized them and gave that point to Gaunt Brothers Racing. So it doesn't make sense why they did not penalize the 20 here. And by that, that means Hamlin should have been out and Kevin Harvick would be in, if I'm correct by this. If I were Harvick's career, Stewart-Haas Racing, I'll be heading up to NASCAR headquarters and protesting that, because I would do the same thing. I mean, you're staying inconsistent again. This rule is basically like the double yellow line rule at Daytona Talladega when we see all these inconsistent callings of this guy got forced, this guy did not, this guy's the winner, that guy was in third is the winner. I mean, this rule is another one of those rules when it just is so consistent. If you're not gonna, lay the book down at this specific incident, like you did the others, why we have this rule then if you're not going to enforce it every time? It seems like so that's what's confusing to me. In my opinion, the 20s should be penalized, and that means Harvick should be in.
In my opinion, I think that Eric Jones should be penalized, but I don't think Hamlin should be knocked out necessarily. I agree 100% with you that they are once again inconsistently calling a rule where, like you said, with the double yellow line rule, they've been inconsistent with that this year. But
AKA this year at Talladega.
I'm gonna provide some evidence that makes it so I don't think Eric Jones deserves a penalty. I don't think he was racing 100%, which by the rule book says that there should be a penalty. But I think they should just edit this rule in general because you have teammates working together all the time at restrictor plate races and all kinds of other racetracks. So
exactly.
I don't think that 100% rule should be in effect, but I do think there should be a rule about intentionally bringing out a caution or pitting on pit road when you don't have to give up a spot or something like that. So I think there should be a change to this rule to be something like if you bring out a caution or if you give up your spot on pit road or something, there should be a penalty. I don't think you should penalize teammates working together to try and get one of their cars into a championship because that's what teammates are supposed to do. Teammates are supposed to help each other. So I think according to this rule, yes, I think Eric Jones should be penalized, but I don't think Denny Hamlin should be knocked out because he didn't do anything. It was Eric Jones. But I also think that NASCAR does need to adjust this rule because teammates race against each other all the time and give each other some slack. So I think NASCAR should reevaluate this rule.
I don't want Eric Jones or Denny Hamlin to be penalized either. I mean, they're teammates. But I'm just going down what's on the rule book here, that you're supposed to go 100%, and they didn't. So from that standard, Eric Jones should be penalized. And the reason why I also said Hamlin would not get the spot, because even though he's innocent, he didn't know about it, it's still the team communications from the same team. So that means both parties are at fault. It may not be the driver's fault, but maybe the spotter's fault or the crew chief's fault or even the team owner's fault.
According to the rules in set, then yes, I would agree with you that Denny Hamlin should probably be out and Harvick should be in. But I don't know. I think NASCAR just doesn't want to piss off their fans anymore because NASCAR has not been keeping up with their rules. But
they are so inconsistent.
Yeah, they need to reevaluate a few rules over the off season.
I mean, they almost went inconsistent with that call with Chase Elliott on pit road. I mean, if they called a penalty, they didn't review it, that would have been controversial.
Yeah, I agree. But they did make the right call there, thankfully. So that's just one less issue we have to figure out.
It was close.
That is all for this episode of The Last Lap. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know down below what your predictions are for the Final Four. Make sure you check us out on Instagram. Link to that is in our profile. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.